So I'm very happy, to see this beautiful, budgetary wall project here. And I like to actually question about your technique. How do you make these patterns?
In most of the projects I do, most of the artworks are made using a very traditional woodblock printing technique. It's really important for me to use that technique because it gives a link, sort of links the work to arts and crafts and a historical gives a historical dimension to the work. And also, on a very human level, it just gives the work a type of warmth. So it looks very graphic, but actually when you look very closely up at the surface, it's actually quite soft. And then there's obviously an added dimension, I suppose, in that many of the motifs that I use are actually wooden in some way. So I quite like the idea that the wood pattern is made using woodblock printing techniques. I like the sort of joke in that, in a sense. But it's basically about giving the work a humanity or a touch or a warmth. That's a really important thing for me.
Okay. My second question is that you've done many projects throughout the world. Is there any other interesting examples you'd like to refer to today?
I mean, a very different project to this was a project that I made in New College in Oxford, where there was like a very old stone building called the Long Room, and we decided to clad the Long Room in a very contemporary type of red brick. So in a sense, the red brick mirrors exactly what is underneath the stone pattern, and in the same way that this is kind of mirroring the silver birch that we see outside. And these slightly cartoonize the silver birches, in the same way the red brick did the same thing at Oxford. And I suppose, and in doing that, I wanted to sort of highlight a different idea, a different sort of social idea that exists in Oxford, because obviously people are aware of a red brick university having a different social connotation to an old university. So I was kind of bringing in a little bit of the new world into the sort of history of Oxford.
My third question, I'd like to hear about what you feel of this project in general.
It's been a really interesting project for me in lots of ways, because I've more than any other project like this, I've been able to develop different strains of the work or different lines of the work, which kind of all add up to the same thing. But I really like the relationship for me between the birch pattern and the scale of that and the tiny little landscapes. And so in a sense, doing this commission has opened up a whole new body of work, which is really exciting. And so that's the great thing about commissions like this and collaborations, because you end up going off on a journey with the work which you just wouldn't have done unless you had obviously the influence of the mountains and the architecture, and so that's been an incredibly positive experience for me.